welcome to SLNS IAS Academy's Daily Current Affairs. This is Dr. Pavani Reddy. So let us see some important articles in the current affairs. So the first important topic we have the metalloid chemical, which is the arsenic. Okay, so arsenic is a metal which is found in the earth's crust. So we all know that the earth is made up of three important layers. We have the crust, mantle and core. Okay, so the upper layer of the interior of the earth is called as the crust. So why we are studying about arsenic? So in the recent study which says that the microbes which are present in the paddy or the rice plant, they says that the microbes are influencing the arsenic contamination, so which are again leading to the crop loss of paddy. Okay, so the type of microbes are enhancing the arsenic contamination, thereby there is crop loss. Okay, so we'll see some important facts related to arsenic. Okay, right, so it is a naturally occurring metalloid element which is present in the interior of the earth, that is especially the earth's crust part or the crust layer. Right. So generally arsenic is present in the groundwater, okay, which is a geogenic contaminant. So what is geogenic contaminant? So the metal is generally contaminating the groundwater or the area due to the geological processes. So because of the plate movements or because of the volcanoes or because of the formation of continents or oceans, which are all primarily the part of the geological processes, are leading to the contamination of arsenic. So that is the meaning of geogenic contaminant, right? So it is a highly toxic and contaminates the soil, the water and crops, especially the rice grown in flooded conditions. So the arsenic is mainly contaminating the paddy fields. So in India, the paddy is exclusively grown in Andhra Pradesh, in the West Bengal, the flooded areas of Bihar, the Punjab and Haryana plain areas. So all these areas, the arsenic is contaminating the soil, water and the crops. So this contamination is highly injurious to the human beings as well as leading to the crop losses, right? So what are the impact of the arsenic consumption by the human beings? So it is a poisonous metal which is leading to the melanosis. So what is melanosis? So melanin is a pigment. So it gives the dark color pigment to the skin. So it causes the melanosis where it results in the dark skin spots, right? And it causes the keratosis. So it leads to the hardening of the palms, and also it causes the risk of skin, the bladder and the lung cancers. Okay, so arsenic is a poisonous chemical, right? So contamination is directly affecting the human beings. So this by the PRIME agency, so the International Agency for Research on Cancer. So this agency, the PRIME agency for cancer, so it says that it is a group A carcinogen. What is carcinogen? The cancer causing agent. Okay, so it is classified as group A carcinogen by the International Agency for Research on Cancer, right? So what are the applications? So in our daily life, so the daily applications of the arsenic. So we have the industrial applications where it is used extensively in the wood preservatives. We have in the pesticides, it is used in herbicides, the making of pigments and electronics and metal alloys. So these are the industrial applications of the arsenic metal. Okay, so these are the important facts you need to remember about the metal arsenic, which is extensively found in the Earth's crust. Next important topic for our prelims is the Aini Air Base. So this is present in the Tajikistan, right? So this air base is also called as Gisar Military Aerodrome. Okay, Gisar Military Aerodrome. So it is the India's first overseas military facility. So that is why it is important, right? It is India's first overseas military facility. So it helped in the development and operation of this air base jointly with the Tajikistan government from 2002. So because India is having a very crucial role in this air base, this is important especially for our prelims. Okay, the next important topic we have the Model Youth Gram Sabha. Okay, so what is this Model Youth Gram Sabha? So it is a simulation, or we can call it as a mock Gram Sabha program. So what is the Gram Sabha? So it is the manifestation of the democratic decentralization. Democratic decentralization. Okay, so this is giving voice to the grassroots level development. Okay, so because of the importance of this Gram Sabha, the government of India has decided to make students participate in the Gram Sabha. Okay, where it is the prime of the three-tier system of the government. So what is it? What is this three-tier system? We have the district at the top level, then we have the mandal, and then we have the Gram Sabha at the lower level. Okay, so this is called as the Panchayati Raj institutions, okay, which are present in the rural India. So at the center, we have the central government, then we have the state government, and at the district level, we have the three-tier system, which is called as Panchayati Raj institution. Okay, so now the government has decided to involve the school students. So why? To participate in the mock Gram Sabha. Okay, so whose initiative is this? Of course, the Ministry of Panchayati Raj and the Ministry of Education, and along with the Ministry of Tribal Affairs. So three ministries are involved: Ministry of Panchayati Raj, Education, and the Tribal Affairs. Right. So it is a initiative based on the Model UN. Okay, so it is the United Nations initiative, so where the school children are being asked to participate in this mock models, right? So where now we are involving more than 1,000 students in this model young or the youth Gram Sabha. So what are those schools? We have the Jawahar Navodaya Vidyalayas, okay, the JVs, the Ekalavya model schools, where the exclusively they are meant for the scheduled tribes, right? And also the state government schools. So all the important or the prime government schools are being involved in this model young Gram Sabha, right? So the Panchayati Raj Ministry is providing a support, monetary support of rupees 20,000 to these schools. Why? To engage the students. So monetary support from the government, that is the Panchayati Raj Ministry, right? So the next important topic, we have the National Marine Fisheries Census 2025. This is again the favorite topic of the UPSC, any census, etc. You can use this information in the mains, as well as this is one of the favorite topics for the prelims. Right. So what is this census and who has conducted it? So recently the Union Minister of State, that is the Ministry of Fisheries and Animal Husbandry Dairying, has launched the Census 2025 related to the fisheries. So what edition or how many times this has been earlier conducted? So this has already conducted 4 times, and this is the fifth edition of the Marine Fisheries Census. Okay, so who is doing this activity? It is the Department of the Fisheries of the Government of India. They are funding this coast-wide activity. So we all know that India is a peninsular country. So we have the three sides of India covered with the water, that is the sea water. So we have the Arabian Sea, we have the Bay of Bengal, and we have the Indian Ocean in the south, right? So we have a coastline, a very huge coastline. So the nodal agency for this census is the ICAR, the Central Marine Fisheries Research Institute. So this is the nodal agency for this census program. Okay, so and Fishery Survey of India as the operational partner. So for operating the census, it has been partnered with what? Fishery Survey of India, right? So what are the features, what are the important facts you need to remember regarding this fisheries census? So what is the coverage? So we have the 13 coastal states and the union territories. States plus UTs are included. So we have the islands, Andaman and Nicobar Islands in the Bay of Bengal and the Lakshadweep in the Arabian Sea. They are also included in the survey, right? So what is the time period? So in an extended period of 45 days, the household collections regarding the farmers, fishery farmers, the household villages which are included in the fishing, etc. All the details have been collected over a period of 45 days. Okay, so to collect this census, to collect the data, this has been a digital architecture designed by these agencies. Okay, so what are the important applications or the digital architecture involved? So we have the Android applications by the agencies. So number one, we have the Vyas Nav. So this is an application, Android application. So it will validate the fishing villages and the harbors. So it will cross check what are the fishing villages on the coastline involved exclusively on fishing and what are the fishing harbors present on the India's coastline. And we have the Vyas Bharat. So Vyas Bharat is for collection of data related to the households involved in fishing and also related to the infrastructure. Okay, so what is the infrastructure involved in the shipping? We have the harbors, we have the nets, etc. So all the infrastructure related to fishing has been taken through the help of application Vyas Bharat. And we have the Vyas Sutra. So this is for the real-time supervision and monitoring of households and the enumerators. So to gather the real-time information, updated information, this Vyas Sutra has been involved. So who developed these all these applications? It is the ICAR, Central Marine Fisheries Research Institution, which we call it as CMFRI. So who developed these applications? It is CMFRI. So this is very important, and for the first time we have a extensive socio-economic data. So socio-economic data of whom? The fishing farmers, their income, their house ownership, and the liabilities and the sources of credit. So extensive social and economic data has been collected in this 5th edition, right? So focus on vulnerability. So they also focused in this survey regarding the insurance status of the fishing farmers. So what are the major liabilities or the losses or the disabilities, and also the socio-economic impact of the COVID-19 pandemic, right? So this COVID-19 pandemic has affected majorly the fishing community along with the other sectors. So they wanted to know the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and also the institutional mapping. So the new schedules were focusing on the fish farmer producer organizations, the self-help groups, etc. They want to collect the information and they want to strengthen them. Okay, why? Because there is a principle which is followed, that is the cooperative societies in India. So we want to empower them, so we are collecting the data. Next important one is the CLAMP portal. Okay, so what is this portal? Again, this is very important for us in our prelims point of view. So CLAMP is the, what is the full form? The Coal Land Acquisition Management and Payment Portal. So this is a digital solution, or this is the digital pathway for the coal sector. So entire land acquisition, land procurement, payment systems, etc. are being done through the CLAMP portal. So obviously this is launched by the Ministry of the Coal. So this is very, very important. So coal, land acquisition, management and payment. Right. So it also serves as a centralized repository for of land records. So it acts as a collection of land records. Okay, so here we can find the data related to the land records. So CLAMP portal. Right. The next important one, we have the Seshachalam Biosphere Reserve. So where is this Seshachalam Biosphere Reserves? It is located in the Andhra Pradesh state. So as part of our Eastern Ghats. Okay, so which state? Andhra Pradesh. So it is a UNESCO's recognized biosphere reserve. So which was designated in the year 2010. That is in 2010, this was given the status of UNESCO recognized biosphere reserve. So they are also called as the Tirupati Kadapa Hills. Okay, so this why is it important? It is the first biosphere reserve in the Andhra Pradesh. Right. So the highest peak in this biosphere we has Tellarala Penta. Okay, so this is again important point. So here we have the major Hindu pilgrimage town or the center where it is the richest temple in India, that is the Tirupati, is located in this biosphere reserve, and the Sri Venkateshwara National Park is located in this biosphere reserve. So these are the important facts you need to remember in this today's class. So we'll continue in the next class. Thank you.